it's midnight sun night right now.
Yleisöä pyydetään poistumaan lavalta pikaisesti. Heti pois lavalta. Yleisö heti.
Hanging on to me.
But how did you like your audience last night?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Unbelievable enthusiasm. In fact, you know, you just don't find enthusiasm like that in our own country.
But you got the fans in your own country too?
Oh, by all means, but they are I don't know, far less vociferous. The kind of reception we got here in Finland was the kind of reception that Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley used to get in our country.
That's true. That's
you know, and I have never had that in our country because I'm just not that type of a performer. People don't go ape shit about me.
Nowadays, many actors are interested in politics. The best example is, I think, Ronald Reagan. How about you?
Well, I'm very, very interested in politics from a private citizen point of view. I am completely disinterested in running for office or becoming involved personally in politics, but I'm very, very active in politics and getting other people elected that believe the way I do about our country.
So you vote yourself?
No, I actively campaign. I go out and campaign. In fact, you know, I was very, very active in the Ronald Reagan campaign, and the Goldwater campaign, and the Nixon campaign. I flew 114,000 miles for Nixon in the last election.
So you're
and for all the good it did me, I could have stayed home in bed. For what I wanted to see happen.
Yeah.
I did the same thing for Goldwater, and of course, Mr. Johnson won, and now we found out that Mr. Johnson had certain things in mind all the time that Mr. Goldwater, when it came right out and said he had in mind, but no one would elect him. Well, they found out that Johnson was planning it all along. You're familiar with the famous Pentagon Papers hassle that we're having in this country now, in our country.
What do you think? Should they have released these papers, these secret papers?
Oh, sure. It's all a lot of baloney. Everybody of any intelligence in the United States knows by this time what happened in April of '65. Johnson decided to just escalate the hell out of the war. We all know that. So what has been revealed that has damaged national security is beyond me. I think the Nixon administration made a horrendous mistake in taking the New York Times and the Washington Post to court over this because they merely emphasized what everyone already knew.
So you don't agree with Mr. Nixon in this case?
I don't agree with Mr. Mitchell in the Justice Department, and most particularly I don't agree with his wife.
You know his wife?
Yes, I do.
Personally?
Yes, I do.
Intimately?
Intimately.
Oh, fine.
And she is a loudmouth. Let's call a spade a spade. She is what I call a loudmouth broad. And I have told her so to her face, and there is no getting away from that. She says, "What do you know? You're just a cowboy." I said, "I know a loudmouth when I see one."
Yesterday, Jim, during these appearances, you said that you hope that we're not in Russia because you'd like to go away. You have nothing. You have something against Russia?
As far as I'm concerned, they're the enemy. I mean that in a very sincere fashion. Without using a sledgehammer on attack, I am very definitely not in favor of international communism in any of its forms, shapes, or manifestations. I have known American boys in Vietnam who have been killed with Russian weapons, and it was no accident that they were Russian weapons. So I said I didn't want to be in Russia. I meant I didn't want to be in Russia because they'd probably shoot me, knowing how I feel.
So you want to fight against communism?
Huh? Well, I certainly want to do everything I can to keep organized communism out of my own country. I'm not going to go and pick a fight with the Russians now that I'm so close. But if they'll stay where they are and we stay where we are, everything will be fine.
I heard that you give very much money for the charity. Is it true?
No, it's not true. I've never given a lot of money to charity. I've given a great deal of time to charity. Making appearances like this for nothing, for charities, with no pay, for charities. But appearances like this type of thing, for the Boy Scouts of America, for the City of Hope, for the March of Dimes, for cerebral palsy, for all kinds of things like that. I have done that, you know, at no pay, which is actually more valuable than if I tried to give money. Let Rockefeller give the money, I give my time, you know. I do, and I've got more time than he has, I guess.
Yeah. You one of your boys, your sons become actors?
I think a couple of them might be very interested in it. I don't know.
Do you recommend them a career of an actor?
Only if they can absolutely not live without it. Acting is something that no one should pursue seriously unless it is such a burning drive with them that they have no choice. They must have acting. And if that is the case, naturally they'll do it anyway. And if it is not the case, they're much better off in some other profession, because acting is probably the most highly competitive, difficult profession, or one of the most highly competitive, difficult professions in the world. Many are called and few are chosen. The attrition rate is frightful. And although I consider it the greatest profession in the world, I certainly do not recommend it to anybody who can get along without it.
I heard that you have nowadays a radio show of your own.
I had one for a couple of weeks as an experiment, and very possibly we may go nationwide with it. We may have it syndicated around the United States.
What kind of show it was?
It's a public affairs type show, a discussion of the issues and events politically and economically within the country. And we have guests like Senator Barry Goldwater, Senator Mark Hatfield, for two sides of the same coin about the war in Vietnam. Try to show opposing points of view, not necessarily my point of view, but opposing points of view about American affairs and politics and public. We were very, very successful for the 2 weeks we were on the air. Very highly rated show, so we feel it may go very well nationwide. We just made the pilot on it Monday, before I got on the plane to come over here. Do I like hippies?
Yeah.
I think that's a question that that cannot be answered. There are certain people who espouse the hippie type of culture that I'm extremely fond of, and there are certain ones that I am not. As a group, the hippie lifestyle seems somewhat insane to me, but then so does my own lifestyle, which is quite different than that. So I neither like or dislike hippies as a group, and individual hippies are either good people or bad people, like everybody else.
Yeah, so you don't separate people because of the length of hair?
Oh, in a sense, that's baloney.
How do you like these kinds of films like A Midnight Cowboy and Easy Rider?
I personally don't think there's anything particularly entertaining about a couple of fags in Greenwich Village, but never having been one, I wouldn't know. Maybe they're having a fine time. As far as Easy Rider goes, I think when you take a story about two guys who are dealing in cocaine and make a big score and buy themselves some choppers across the United States and then get shot by some mindless boobs in the South, you've got a real foursome to draw to there. I think the whole goddamn picture was disgusting and didn't say anything about the human race that was worth saving. We may as well just start dropping atom bombs on everybody if that's the kind of people we are. I'm talking about from both sides of the coin now. The guys that shot them off the motorcycles and the guys that were riding the motorcycles. What a bunch of creeps. Jesus Christ.
What do you think?
Wouldn't you say that, Howard? I mean, they were all a bunch of creeps, really.
Well, they represented certainly the extremes of the civilization.
Absolutely.
It's questionable what judgments can be drawn from
very little of none.
Exposing that, except that you see, Jim, we're all talking from a very special point of view, and I don't know if the country as a whole understands this kind of activity?
I don't think they understand it at all. I think that the kids that went to see Easy Rider and thought it was great identified with these two guys and these two choppers to the point where they could do no wrong. But we must remember that the picture starts with them transferring a big bag of cocaine to a guy in a Rolls Royce who gives them a bunch of money. So that's what they are. They're pushers. They're pushers.
Right.
And the rest of the picture takes off to glorify these two pushers. Well, horseshit. I can remember at least an hour and a half away and an hour and a half before I saw what they did. So they aren't folk heroes to me, but they are to the young people, and I think that's bad. I'm not saying it's bad in the sense that we should censor it or shut it down, because I think when you do that, you merely emphasize the problem. But I wouldn't make that kind of picture. I wouldn't be involved in that kind of picture. I just wouldn't, I don't believe in using my talent and my ability to put that kind of direct on the screen.
Kuinka monta ihmistä kävi katsomassa Virginialaista?
Keräämieni tilastojen mukaan noin 27 000 lippunsa lunastanutta, mutta en tiedä sitten kuinka paljon oli niitä, jotka eivät lunastaneet pääsylippua.
Kuinka paljon tämä pääsylipun lunastaminen maksoi?
Keskimääräinen hinta oli kuulemma 10 markkaa.
Tämä tekee siis yhteensä noin 270 000 markkaa.
Aivan oikein.
Kuinka paljon tästä summasta sai itse virginialainen?
Niin, bruttoesiintymispalkkio mukaan luettuna manageri oli 40 000 markkaa. Tietojeni mukaan virginialaisen osuus oli brutto 25 000 markkaa, netto hieman yli 20 000 markkaa, johon sisältyi siis 5 esiintymistä.
Juhannuspäivänä James Drury sanoi jäähyväiset Suomelle. Hän matkusti Belgiaan neuvottelemaan liikeasioista ja sieltä takaisin kotiin karjatilalle Keskilänteen. Tyypilliseen amerikkalaiseen tapaan vieras sanoi tulevansa pian takaisin ensi juhannuksena elokuvakaverinsa Trampasin kanssa. James Drury on nyt 37-vuotiaana näyttelijänä sellaisen tilanteen edessä, että televisiosarja, joka on tehnyt hänet tunnetuksi ja elättänyt hänet 9 vuoden ajan, on lopetettu. Meidän televisioihimme Virginialainen ilmestyy enää 7 kertaa. Esittämättömiä jaksoja riittää meillä loka-marraskuun vaihteeseen. Joka tapauksessa Drurylla on edessään uusien töiden etsiminen. Virginialaisen kanssa samaan aikaan Yhdysvalloissa on lopetettu noin 30 muunkin sarjaohjelman tekeminen. Televisio on sielläkin taloudellisissa vaikeuksissa. Sitä paitsi Virginialainen ei kotimaassaan saavuttanut koskaan samanlaista suosiota kuin esimerkiksi Bonanza, High Chaparral ja Ruudinsavu. Myös Hollywoodin filmiteollisuus etsii uusia linjoja. Tyypilliset Hollywoodin melodraamat ja suuret kalliit elokuvat ovat tuottaneet tappiota jo muutaman vuoden, ja suuntaus on nykyisin pienimuotoisiin ja elävää elämää tarkasteleviin elokuviin. Näyttelijöitä jää yhä enemmän työttömiksi sekä elokuvasta että televisiosta. Tähtiä ei enää luoda samalla tavalla kuin ennen. Aika näyttää, kuinka käy James Drury.